Hello there. It's so important we have this conversation today. I want to talk to you about something that creeps up on many of us as we get older, something that can steal your confidence, your mobility, and your peace of mind. That troubling, often frightening sensation of leg numbness. That tingling, the pins and needles, or worse, that deadened feeling that makes you unsure of your very next step. It's more than just an annoyance. It can be a serious warning sign. I remember a gentleman, let's call him Arthur. Arthur was a sprightly man, always active in his garden, loved his morning walks. He came to me concerned about a growing numbness in his feet that was slowly creeping up his calves. He dismissed it at first, thinking it was just old age setting in, as so many unfortunately do. But then one afternoon, while reaching for a jar on a high shelf in his kitchen, his left leg, dulled by that persistent numbness, didn't quite register the shift in his balance. He stumbled, catching himself just before a serious fall. That incident, that terrifying moment of losing control, was what finally brought him to my office, his eyes wide with a fear I see too often, the fear of losing independence. What Arthur didn't realize, and what we're going to uncover together today, is that certain everyday foods, items likely sitting in your pantry or refrigerator right now, could have been silently contributing to and even accelerating his debilitating leg numbness. He thought he was eating a relatively normal diet, but some of his staples were actually acting as saboteurs to his nerve health and circulation. This isn't about blame, it's about awareness and empowerment. It's good to be talking about this with you today. As we dive deeper into these crucial insights that could genuinely change the way you feel day to day, if you find this kind of practical health information helpful for yourself or for someone you care about, perhaps take a moment now to give this video a quick like and click that subscribe button just below. It's a simple click for you, but it means the world to us and helps ensure you always get our latest advice on staying healthy, active, and independent. Don't forget to hit the little bell icon too, so you're notified right away when we release new information that could benefit you. Now, leg numbness in seniors isn't a simple issue. It can stem from various underlying conditions, things like diabetes, which can damage nerves, peripheral artery disease, which restricts blood flow, vitamin deficiencies, particularly B vitamins, or even pressure on nerves from issues like spinal stenosis. But what often gets overlooked is the profound impact our diet has on these conditions and on the overall health of our nerves and circulatory system. The foods we eat can either be a powerful form of medicine or, sadly, a slow-acting poison, especially when it comes to something as delicate as nerve function. Today, we're focusing on 5 specific types of foods that I, in my years of practice, have seen consistently create problems, acting as accelerators for that very leg numbness we want to fight. These are the items you truly must be wary of, the ones you should aim to significantly reduce or, in some cases, eliminate from your diet to protect your precious mobility and sensation. We're going to unmask these hidden culprits one by one, and for each one, I'll not only explain why it's a problem, but I'll also offer you healthier nerve-supporting alternatives. Because this isn't just about avoiding the bad, it's about embracing the good. It's about taking back control. The first food group we need to discuss, and it's a big one, a pervasive one in the modern American diet, is highly processed foods packed with refined carbohydrates and sugars. Think about those convenient packaged snacks, the sugary breakfast cereals that promise a quick start to your day, but often lead to a mid-morning crash. The white bread that forms the foundation of so many sandwiches, the pastries, cookies, and cakes that offer a moment of sweetness but a potential lifetime of trouble. I often see patients like Arthur who, without realizing it, consume a significant amount of these items. He used to love his morning toast with jam, a biscuit with his afternoon tea, and perhaps a small bowl of ice cream before bed, seemingly small indulgences, but they add up. Now, why are these refined carbs and sugars so detrimental, particularly to nerve health and circulation in your legs? It's a multi-pronged attack. Firstly, these foods cause rapid spikes in your blood sugar levels. When your blood sugar soars, your body releases insulin to try and manage it. Over time, frequent large spikes can lead to insulin resistance, a precursor to type 2 diabetes. And diabetes, as many of you may know, is one of the leading causes of peripheral neuropathy. That's the medical term for nerve damage, often starting in the feet and legs, leading directly to numbness, tingling, and pain. Imagine your nerves as delicate electrical wires. Chronically high blood sugar is like a corrosive substance eating away at the insulation of these wires, disrupting the signals. Arthur, though not formally diagnosed with diabetes at our first meeting, had blood sugar levels that were consistently on the higher side of normal, a clear warning sign. His innocent dietary habits were contributing to this risky state. Beyond the direct impact on blood sugar, these processed foods are often nutritional deserts. They are stripped of the fiber, vitamins, and minerals that are essential for nerve health. Fiber, for instance, helps to slow down sugar absorption, preventing those damaging spikes. B vitamins, particularly B1, B6, and B12, are absolutely crucial for nerve function and repair. Many processed foods are low in these essential nutrients, and some can even deplete your body's existing stores. So you're not only flooding your system with harmful sugars, but also starving it of the very building blocks it needs to protect and repair your nerves. It's a double whammy. Furthermore, these foods are often loaded with unhealthy trans fats and inflammatory oils, like soybean oil, corn oil, and cottonseed oil, which are frequently used in processed snacks and baked goods. Chronic inflammation is a silent enemy to our entire body, but it's particularly damaging to blood vessels and nerves. Inflammation can constrict blood vessels, reducing vital blood flow to your lower extremities. Your nerves need a rich supply of oxygen and nutrients delivered by your blood to function correctly. When that supply is compromised by inflammation and narrowed arteries, the nerves begin to suffer, leading to those telltale signs of numbness and tingling. Think of it like a garden hose that's being squeezed. The water flow your blood to the plants, your nerves, is reduced, and the plants begin to wither. Arthur often complained of cold feet, another sign that his circulation might be compromised, and his diet rich in processed items was likely a significant contributor to this underlying inflammation. Take a moment to close your eyes and visualize this. Imagine tiny microscopic battles happening within your blood vessels and around your nerves every time you consume these highly processed sugary items. Each mouthful is a vote for struggle or strength. Your legs feel heavy just walking to the mailbox. There's a faint buzzing in your toes that you try to ignore. What if that feeling persists, worsens, and begins to dictate what you can and cannot do? It's a sobering thought, but an important one. So what are the alternatives? This isn't about deprivation, it's about smart swaps. Instead of that white bread, opt for whole grain bread with at least 3 to 5 grams of fiber per slice. Look for 100% whole wheat or whole grain as the first ingredient. Instead of sugary cereals, try plain oatmeal, to which you can add fresh berries for sweetness and nuts for healthy fats and protein. Swap out cookies and pastries for a piece of fruit or a handful of almonds. When a sugar craving hits, reach for nature's candy, a juicy peach, a crisp apple, or a handful of grapes. These whole foods provide natural sugars packaged with fiber, vitamins, and antioxidants that support your health rather than detract from it. For Arthur, we gradually replaced his white toast with whole grain, his sugary biscuits with oat cakes and a thin spread of almond butter, and his evening ice cream with a small bowl of Greek yogurt and berries. These weren't drastic, overnight changes, but steady, consistent improvements. He noticed within a few months that the intensity of the numbness had lessened, and he felt more energetic. It was a powerful lesson for him and for me, reinforcing how much control we can reclaim through conscious food choices. Don't underestimate the power of these simple swaps. They can be life-altering. The second category of foods that can seriously accelerate leg numbness, and this one might surprise some of you because it's often marketed as healthy in certain contexts, is excessive consumption of certain red and processed meats. I'm talking about things like sausages, bacon, hot dogs, deli meats, high in nitrates and sodium, and even an over-reliance on fatty cuts of red meat like prime rib or ribeye steaks, especially when consumed frequently. Now, let me be clear. Occasional lean red meat can be part of a balanced diet for some. However, the type and quantity, particularly of processed and high-fat versions, are what pose a significant risk to your nerve health and circulation. Why are these meats problematic? Let's start with processed meats. These are often loaded with sodium, chemical preservatives like nitrates and nitrites, and unhealthy saturated and trans fats. High sodium intake is a major contributor to high blood pressure, and high blood pressure is a notorious enemy of your circulatory system. It damages the lining of your arteries, making them stiffer and narrower, a condition known as arteriosclerosis. This directly impedes blood flow to your extremities, including your legs and feet. Remember our garden hose analogy. High blood pressure is like kinking that hose even further, starving your nerves of the oxygen and nutrients they desperately need. The numbness you feel could be your nerves crying out for better circulation. Many of my patients who report leg numbness also struggle with managing their blood pressure, and very often their intake of processed meats is higher than they realize. It's in the breakfast sausage, the lunchtime deli sandwich, the hot dog at a summer barbecue. It adds up quickly. Beyond sodium, the nitrates and nitrites used to preserve these meats can be converted in the body into nitrosamines, compounds that have been linked to increased oxidative stress and inflammation. As we've discussed, chronic inflammation is a key driver of vascular damage and can irritate nerves directly. Imagine these inflammatory compounds as little sparks constantly irritating the delicate nerve endings. Over time, this chronic irritation can contribute to the development or worsening of neuropathy. When it comes to fatty cuts of red meat, the primary concern is the high levels of saturated fat. While some saturated fat is acceptable, excessive intake can lead to elevated levels of LDL cholesterol, the bad cholesterol. This LDL cholesterol contributes to the buildup of plaque in your arteries, a condition called atherosclerosis. These plaques are like blockages in your plumbing, further restricting blood flow. If the arteries supplying your legs become clogged, it's a direct route to peripheral artery disease, PAD, a condition where leg numbness, cramping, and pain upon walking, claudication, are hallmark symptoms. Arthur, while not a huge red meat eater, did enjoy his weekend bacon and sausage breakfast. We discussed how even this seemingly moderate indulgence, when combined with other dietary factors, could be contributing to the overall burden on his circulatory system. Consider the story of another patient. Let's call her Margaret. Margaret was in her late 60s and came to me complaining of persistent tingling in her feet and a heaviness in her legs, especially in the evenings. She also suffered from significant joint pain. Her diet, she admitted, often relied on convenient processed meats for quick meals, deli ham for sandwiches, pre-cooked sausages for dinner. She wasn't aware of the sheer amount of sodium and preservatives she was consuming. Once we started to really examine her food diary, it was clear that these items were staples. The chronic inflammation driven by her diet was not only likely exacerbating her joint pain, but also contributing to her nerve irritation and poor circulation, manifesting as that relentless numbness. The inflammation was like a smoldering fire throughout her system, and her nerves were feeling the heat. Her story is a stark reminder that what seems convenient can often have hidden long-term costs to our health. So what are the nerve-friendlier protein sources? Focus on lean proteins. Skinless poultry, like chicken or turkey breast, is a great option. Fish, especially fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines, are packed with omega-3 fatty acids, which are powerfully anti-inflammatory and can actually help improve circulation and nerve health. Plant-based proteins are also excellent choices. Lentils, beans, chickpeas, tofu, and tempeh are rich in fiber, protein, and essential nutrients, and they are naturally low in unhealthy fats and sodium. If you enjoy red meat, choose leaner cuts like sirloin or tenderloin, limit your portion size, and consume it less frequently, perhaps as a treat rather than a daily staple. For Margaret, we worked on incorporating more fish into her diet, especially baked salmon twice a week, and she started experimenting with lentil soups and bean salads. She also swapped her deli meats for freshly cooked chicken breast in her sandwiches. It took time, but she began to notice a difference not only in her leg sensations, but also in her joint comfort. The changes weren't just about removing the bad, they were about actively adding in the good that could fight inflammation and support her vascular health. Think of each meal as an opportunity to nourish your nerves and blood vessels. Choose wisely. The third food group we must be cautious about, and this one can be tricky because it's often hidden in many seemingly innocent foods, is anything containing artificial sweeteners and certain food additives. I'm referring to products like diet sodas, sugar-free candies and desserts, some yogurts, and even certain vitamin supplements or flavored waters that use sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, saccharin, or ace-sulfame potassium. Additionally, additives like monosodium glutamate, MSG, often found in savory processed foods, canned soups, and restaurant meals, can also be problematic for some individuals. Why are these artificial compounds a concern for leg numbness? The research here is ongoing, but there are several potential mechanisms. Some studies and a wealth of anecdotal evidence from patients suggest that certain artificial sweeteners can act as excitotoxins. An excitotoxin is a chemical that can overstimulate nerve cells, sometimes to the point of damage or death. So, imagine a light switch being flicked on and off rapidly until the bulb burns out. That's a simplified way to think about how these substances might affect your delicate nerve cells. If nerves in your legs are already compromised due to other factors like poor circulation or underlying neuropathy, exposure to these potential neurotoxins could exacerbate the damage, leading to increased numbness, tingling, or even pain. Arthur, in his efforts to manage his weight, had switched to diet sodas years ago, thinking he was making a healthier choice. He consumed 1 or 2 cans almost daily. We discussed the possibility that these sweeteners, while calorie-free, might be contributing to his nerve symptoms in a way he hadn't considered. Furthermore, there's growing evidence that artificial sweeteners can negatively impact the gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system. A healthy gut microbiome is crucial for overall health, including nutrient absorption, like those vital B vitamins for nerve function, and inflammation control. When artificial sweeteners disrupt the balance of these gut bacteria, it can lead to increased intestinal permeability, often called leaky gut, which in turn can trigger systemic inflammation. And as we've established, chronic inflammation is a major foe of nerve health and good circulation. So, while you might be avoiding sugar, these artificial substitutes could be opening another door to inflammatory processes that harm your nerves. MSG is another additive that has been linked to nerve-related symptoms in sensitive individuals. While the FDA considers it generally recognized as safe, a subset of the population reports reactions like headaches, flushing, sweating, and relevant to our discussion, numbness or burning sensations, sometimes referred to as MSG symptom complex. If you are sensitive to MSG, consuming foods high in this additive could potentially trigger or worsen your leg numbness. It's often hidden under various names on ingredient labels, such as hydrolyzed vegetable protein, autolyzed yeast, or natural flavor, making it tricky to avoid unless you're a diligent label reader. Take a moment to reflect. Are there diet or sugar-free products that have become staples in your daily routine? Could that afternoon diet soda or those sugar-free cookies be contributing to the very symptoms you're trying to alleviate through other means? It's a question worth asking. Many people, like Arthur, make these swaps with the best intentions, unaware of the potential hidden downsides. What are the alternatives here? The best approach is to lean towards foods and drinks that are naturally unsweetened or sweetened with small amounts of natural sweeteners. If you enjoy fizzy drinks, try sparkling water with a squeeze of fresh lemon, lime, or a splash of unsweetened fruit juice. If you need a little sweetness in your tea or coffee, a small amount of honey, maple syrup, or stevia, a plant-derived sweetener that seems to have a better profile for many, though moderation is still key, might be better choices than the artificial chemical sweeteners. However, the ultimate goal should be to reduce your overall reliance on intense sweetness. Retrain your palate to appreciate the natural flavors of foods. For savory foods, focus on cooking from scratch using whole ingredients whenever possible. This way, you control what goes into your meal and can avoid hidden MSG and other undesirable additives. Use herbs, spices, garlic, and onion to flavor your food instead of relying on prepackaged sauces and seasoning mixes that often contain these additives. For Arthur, cutting out his daily diet sodas was a significant step. He switched to water infused with cucumber and mint and herbal teas. He admitted he missed the fizz at first, but after a couple of weeks, he found he actually preferred the cleaner taste and felt better overall. He also reported a subtle decrease in the buzzing sensation he sometimes felt in his feet. It's these small, consistent changes that can add up to big improvements in how you feel. We've covered some important ground already, understanding how processed carbs, certain meats, and artificial additives can play a role in leg numbness. There's more helpful information to come as we explore two more significant culprits. If you're finding value in understanding how these elements in your diet can impact your health, and you haven't yet done so, clicking that subscribe button and the little bell next to it ensures you won't miss future discussions like this one. We truly appreciate you being part of our community, learning and growing healthier together. Knowing where our viewers are watching from also helps us tailor our advice. So if you feel comfortable, drop a comment below telling us what city or state you're tuning in from. It's wonderful to connect with you all. Now, let's move on to the fourth food group that requires serious attention when it comes to preventing or managing leg numbness. Foods and drinks high in unhealthy fats, particularly trans fats and excessive saturated fats from fried foods and certain dairy products. We touched on saturated fats with red meat, but this category broadens the scope to include many other common dietary items. Think deep-fried chicken, French fries, donuts, commercially baked goods made with hydrogenated oils, a primary source of trans fats, and even excessive consumption of high-fat dairy like full-fat cheese, cream, and butter, if your overall diet is already fat-heavy and unbalanced. Why are these fats so dangerous for your nerves and circulation? Trans fats, often listed as partially hydrogenated oil on ingredient labels, are particularly insidious. They are man-made fats that have been shown to raise your bad LDL cholesterol, lower your good HDL cholesterol, and increase inflammation throughout the body. This trifecta of negative effects is incredibly damaging to your arteries. They promote the buildup of those dangerous plaques we talked about earlier, leading directly to atherosclerosis and reducing blood flow to your legs and feet. The FDA has taken steps to remove artificial trans fats from the food supply, but they can still linger in some products, and small amounts can add up. It's crucial to be a label detective. If you see partially hydrogenated oil, put the product back on the shelf. Your nerves will thank you. Excessive saturated fat, while not as overtly villainous as trans fat, can also contribute to high LDL cholesterol levels and plaque formation when consumed in large quantities, especially if your diet lacks balancing healthy fats and fiber. Fried foods are a double offender here. Not only are they often cooked in unhealthy oils, sometimes trans fats, or oils that become unstable and inflammatory at high heat, but the process of frying itself can create harmful compounds that increase oxidative stress in the body. Oxidative stress is like rust on your cells, including your nerve cells and the cells lining your blood vessels. It accelerates aging and damage. If your legs are already experiencing numbness due to compromised nerves or circulation, a diet high in fried foods is like pouring fuel on a fire. It will only worsen the underlying conditions. Consider Margaret again. Alongside her reliance on processed meats, she also had a fondness for fried foods, especially fried fish and chips, which she enjoyed a couple of times a week. She also used a lot of full-fat cheese in her cooking. While cheese in moderation can be fine, Her overall dietary pattern was very high in saturated fats and potentially trans fats from the fried items. This, combined with the inflammatory load from processed meats, was creating a perfect storm for poor vascular health and nerve irritation. The heavy, numb feeling in her legs was a clear signal that her body was struggling under this dietary burden. It's not about demonizing any single food, but understanding how the pattern of consumption impacts your health. For Margaret, the cumulative effect of these choices was significantly contributing to her discomfort and limiting her ability to enjoy her daily walks. And what about high-fat dairy? For some individuals, especially those sensitive to dairy proteins or those who consume it in very large quantities without balancing their diet, it can also be pro-inflammatory. If your body is already in an inflammatory state, adding more potential triggers might exacerbate nerve irritation. It's about balance and individual tolerance. So what are the healthier fat choices to protect your nerves? Focus on unsaturated fats, particularly monounsaturated fats found in olive oil, avocados, and nuts like almonds and walnuts, and polyunsaturated fats, especially omega-3 fatty acids from fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, flax seeds, chia seeds, and walnuts. These fats are anti-inflammatory and can actually help improve cholesterol levels and support vascular health. Instead of frying foods, try baking, grilling, roasting, or steaming. These cooking methods don't require excessive oil and don't produce the same level of harmful compounds. If you enjoy dairy, consider lower fat options like Greek yogurt or cottage cheese, or use full-fat versions more sparingly. For Margaret, we introduced baked salmon seasoned with herbs instead of fried fish. She started using olive oil for cooking instead of butter or vegetable shortening for certain dishes, and she discovered a love for avocados on her whole grain toast. These changes helped to shift her fat intake from pro-inflammatory to anti-inflammatory, supporting her body's efforts to heal and reduce the nerve irritation, contributing to her leg numbness. She even found that her joint pain lessened, which was an added bonus, allowing her to be more active and further improving her circulation. It's about making smarter, more nourishing choices consistently. The fifth and final food group that I strongly advise seniors to be extremely cautious about if they are experiencing leg numbness or want to prevent it is foods extremely high in sodium that go beyond the obvious culprits. We've touched on sodium with processed meats, but its reach extends much further, often lurking in unexpected places, and its impact on leg numbness via blood pressure and fluid retention is significant. Think canned soups and vegetables, unless specified as low sodium or no salt added, soy sauce and other bottled sauces, teriyaki, Worcestershire, frozen dinners, packaged gravies and seasoning mixes, pickled foods, and even some breads and cottage cheese can pack a surprising sodium punch. Why is this excessive hidden sodium so detrimental? As we know, high sodium intake is a primary driver of hypertension or high blood pressure. This sustained pressure damages arteries, reduces their elasticity, and narrows the passages, significantly impairing blood flow to the lower extremities. Your nerves are exquisitely sensitive to reductions in blood supply. When they don't get enough oxygen and nutrients, they malfunction, leading to symptoms like numbness, tingling, weakness, and pain. Imagine your blood vessels as pipes. High blood pressure is like forcing too much water through old, narrow pipes. Eventually, they get damaged, and the supply to the endpoints, your feet and legs, dwindles. Arthur, when we did a detailed dietary recall, was surprised to learn how much sodium he was consuming. He used canned soups for quick lunches several times a week and often added extra salt to his meals at the table out of habit, not realizing his taste buds had adapted to a higher salt level. Beyond its direct impact on blood pressure, excessive sodium can also lead to fluid retention. When you consume too much salt, your body holds on to extra water to try and dilute the sodium concentration in your bloodstream. This can cause swelling or edema, particularly in the lower legs, ankles, and feet. This swelling can physically compress nerves, further contributing to feelings of numbness, pressure, or a tight, heavy sensation in your legs. If you've ever noticed your socks leaving deep indentations in your ankles at the end of the day, or your shoes feeling tighter than usual, excess sodium and fluid retention could be playing a role. This was certainly a factor for Arthur. He frequently complained about swollen ankles, especially in the evenings. This swelling was likely putting additional pressure on already compromised nerves and blood vessels. Consider how easily sodium can accumulate. A single serving of many popular canned soups can contain over 800 milligrams of sodium, which is more than a third of the recommended daily limit for many adults, especially seniors, who should ideally aim for 1,500 milligrams or less per day. A tablespoon of soy sauce can have nearly 1,000 milligrams. A typical frozen dinner can easily exceed 700 to 1,000 milligrams. It adds up with frightening speed, often without us even realizing it. This isn't just about the salt shaker on your table. It's about the sodium engineered into processed and packaged foods for flavor and preservation. Take a moment to think about your own pantry and fridge. How many canned goods, frozen meals, or bottled sauces are regulars in your rotation? It's easy to overlook these hidden sources. What if the solution to some of that persistent leg heaviness or tingling was as straightforward as becoming a more discerning shopper and a more creative cook with seasonings? So how can you drastically reduce this harmful sodium intake and protect your nerve health? The most effective strategy is to prioritize fresh, whole foods. Fruits, vegetables, fresh meats, poultry, and fish are naturally low in sodium. When you cook from scratch, you are in complete control of the seasoning. Get creative with herbs and spices. Garlic powder, not garlic salt, onion powder, paprika, oregano, basil, thyme, rosemary, cumin, curry powder. The world of spices is vast and can add incredible flavor to your meals without a grain of added salt. Lemon juice and vinegar can also brighten flavors. When you do buy packaged or canned foods, become a label fanatic. Look for low sodium, reduced sodium, or no salt added versions. Rinse canned beans and vegetables under running water to wash away some of the excess sodium. Taste your food before automatically reaching for the salt shaker. You might find it doesn't need it, especially if you've used other flavorful herbs and spices. For Arthur, this was a game changer. We worked on a plan to replace his canned soups with homemade versions where he controlled the salt. He started experimenting with Mrs. Dash and other salt-free seasoning blends. He consciously removed the salt shaker from his dining table. Within weeks, he noticed his ankles were less swollen, and he felt that the tightness in his calves had eased. He was also pleasantly surprised to find that as his palate adjusted, he began to appreciate the natural flavors of food more intensely. This reduction in sodium, combined with his other dietary changes, played a significant role in alleviating his leg numbness and improving his overall comfort and confidence. We've journeyed through these 5 food groups, these potential saboteurs of your leg health: the highly processed carbs and sugars, the excessive red and processed meats, the artificial sweeteners and additives, the unhealthy trans and saturated fats from fried foods, and the overload of hidden sodium. It might seem like a lot to avoid, but I want you to see this not as a list of restrictions, but as a pathway to empowerment. Each choice you make at the grocery store, each meal you prepare, is an opportunity to nourish your body, protect your nerves, and enhance your circulation. Think of someone like Robert, another individual I had the privilege of guiding. Robert came to me with early signs of leg numbness and a family history of vascular problems. He was worried, understandably so. But instead of succumbing to fear, Robert took proactive steps. He diligently learned about these problematic foods and made conscious decisions every single day to choose alternatives. He embraced whole grains, lean proteins, plenty of fruits and vegetables, and healthy fats. He became an avid reader of food labels. It wasn't always easy, and there were times he missed his old favorites, but his motivation was his health, his independence, his desire to keep walking, playing with his grandkids, and living life to the fullest. And over time, Robert not only prevented his leg numbness from worsening, but he actually reported feeling more energetic. His thinking felt clearer, and his overall vitality improved. His story is a testament to the fact that these dietary changes, while they require effort, can yield profound benefits. The key is not to aim for perfection overnight, but for consistent progress. Start by identifying one or two areas where you can make a change. Maybe it's swapping out your sugary breakfast cereal for oatmeal, or choosing grilled chicken instead of fried. Perhaps it's cutting back on diet sodas or being more mindful of sodium in canned goods. Small steps taken consistently lead to significant results. Your body has an incredible capacity for healing and adaptation, especially when you provide it with the right fuel and remove the obstacles. I sincerely hope this detailed conversation has provided you with clarity and some positive, actionable steps forward. Understanding these dietary pitfalls is the first step towards reclaiming or preserving the health of your legs, your mobility, and indeed your overall well-being. Taking charge of our health is an ongoing journey, a commitment we make to ourselves each day, and staying informed with reliable knowledge is absolutely crucial. Please consider subscribing if you found this information valuable so we can continue sharing these important health insights with you. Hit that notification bell too so you don't miss a thing. And now, I'd love to hear from you. What was the most surprising food on this list for you? Or perhaps you have a healthy swap that has really worked for you in managing your own health. Please share your thoughts, experiences, and any questions you might have in the comments section below. Your insights are valuable not just to us, but to everyone in this wonderful community. When we share our journeys, we learn from each other and support one another, and that is incredibly powerful. If you know someone, a friend, a family member, a neighbor who might be struggling with leg numbness or who could benefit from this information, please consider sharing this video with them. You could be making a real difference in their life. Remember, you are not alone in this. We are here to provide guidance and support. The power to make positive changes rests within you. Choose wisely, nourish your body, and take those steps, however small, towards a healthier, more vibrant, and more comfortable life. Thank you so much for your time and attention today. Be well, and I look forward to our next conversation.